you know,
Let's get it all.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. I
That's
know
what we like. We're
we're
like
all
real
about that.
raw, unscripted. Like we have a little bit to go off of, but we like
Yeah,
to keep it
yeah,
real life, real life and
yeah.
relatable.
Cool.
Yeah. No,
Awesome.
tech has not been our friend, Josh.
No.
Riverside has not been our
Well,
friend.
we hopped on a little bit early and I was like, why does everything look different? It looks weird. Like I had to reset all of my settings because it went to like default restore factory settings. I was like,
And you're like, no, not today.
Yeah, and I had to switch over to my iPad because apparently my computer's too old to record with Riverside.
it was a mess,
And
Josh. By the way, Josh, I'm
yeah.
sorry. It's
Yes,
nice to
Carmi.
formally meet you. I am Carmi. I
Hey,
am the
Curry.
other half of this podcast, other half of, this dynamic duo between Dal and I. But yeah, we
Yeah.
were having like
Yeah.
some major tech issues for quite a few weeks. Come to find out, both of our MacBooks are so extremely archaic and outdated per Riverside's team. So we've had to pivot
Yeah.
and be
Oh,
flexible, but I guess that's right on track for, our industry, right?
Yeah, that's what we do, right? Amazing.
exactly.
Amazing.
Well, nice to meet you, Josh,
Yeah, nice
because
to
I
meet you
know
too.
we haven't met in
Yeah, we
person
Oh,
haven't
you
over the
guys
like
didn't
cold.
formally meet? I thought you guys had formally
Well,
met because
we
Dal
have
knows
through
almost
like
everybody in the
DMs.
industry.
Well,
like
that's through Andrew though, right? Andrew makes all the connections.
cool.
Right? You know that. You know
Oh
Andrew
yeah,
Coates, right? Yeah, you've been on
yeah.
his podcast
Yeah,
like a couple of times.
yeah, he absolutely knows everyone and has
Yeah.
connected me to the coolest people.
Yeah.
Which like he's only connected me to the coolest people. Like it's
I know.
amazing. It's
We're cool. We're cool.
yeah.
That's fine. Okay, so let's get this started. You want to do the intro and then we'll get into it? We're good? Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you
Yeah.
All
guys. Well,
right.
welcome back to another episode of Breaking the Cycle, Redefining Weight Loss, Health, and Mom Life. Today, we have a very special guest, Josh Hillis. He is author of Lean and Strong, creator of Eating Skills,
See, I have the ball.
emotional eating expert, stress eating expert. We are so happy to have you because there's a whole lot of noise and talk and narrative on the internet these days about emotional eating, stress eating, binge eating. So before we dive into that, why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit about you? Give us your backstory, your origin story, whatever you want to share with us.
Yeah,
Okay.
and how you like really in transition into like how you came into this versus like conventional coaching, just tracking and what we're all used to. So we'd love to hear about all of that.
Yeah, yeah. So like I mean, wow, like 22 years ago, I was like I got into personal training because I was a personal trainer and
Okay.
I had I'd been doing jujitsu and like I'd always been like everything I'd ever done athletically, I was always the weakest and least coordinated person. Like everywhere. And then I got into kettlebell training and I ran into like some better coaches and actually started to get like a little bit better. And I was like, oh, with like a good coach, you can get better at things. And like that was like like mind blown. And I was like, I want to do that for people. And I became a kettlebell instructor and a personal trainer. I got a job in a gym. And like no one wanted that. Like everyone wanted to lose weight and
Yeah.
and I had no idea how that worked. And all my clients wanted to do different diets, but I was like, oh, I've got like 35 clients a week and they all want to do different diets. I was like, I'm gonna figure out what the best diet is, like seeing which one, and like of course I in a minute you figure out like it doesn't matter at all. And then my first book was me trying to cobble together like, oh, if it doesn't matter what diet they're doing, then like what are the things that they're doing that do matter? Like what are the habits? That's
Mhm.
what I call it at the time. But it was like mostly logistical and things like that. And but at the time that was like kind of like a big step forward, right? Just like looking at my
Mhm.
clients and going like, okay, none of the diets matter, but these behaviors do, like meal planning. I mean, like it seems so basic now. Um, and uh, and so, but like my book does really well, and I'm like I'm doing talks across the country and like podcast tour and like huge. Um, way bigger than I could have ever imagined anything blowing up because I was like flexible dieting and habits.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I was still getting clients that were having a hard time. I was still having clients that were like, um, I had this one client who was so great who would do all the things, lose all the weight, go on vacation, gain it all back, and we'd
Mhm.
start over again from scratch, except it would be harder.
Mm.
I was like, "It's getting harder every time." That seems like it seems weird, right?
Mhm.
Like everything else we do in the gym is easier every time, you know? Like I was working with clients that trained seasonally for different sports and they got better every I'm like, "What is going on here?" And then I had one client who was so motivated and so cool and like one of my favorite people on earth, and we're going through all the habits and logistics and we're on our like third round of this cycle,
Mm.
and she's like, look, like I know what to eat, I just can't stop eating at night. And I'm like, I've got nothing for you. Like
Mhm.
I've got like nothing. And it like hurt in my soul, you know. It was like,
Yeah.
this is like I was like, oh wow, I'm letting you down the same way every coach I ever had let me down,
Mm.
you know. And so
Yeah. So you found yourself kinda, like, stuck when she said that as a
yeah.
coach? Yeah, yeah.
And then like and like not only was it like I couldn't help her, but all of a sudden I started seeing like all the people I was missing. And I looked around at the other
Mm.
coaches in the gym and I was like, "Oh, none of us have anything." Like we're letting a lot of people down.
Yeah.
And like in a way we were actually like selecting out a lot of the people that we couldn't help.
Mm.
You know, it was like I was like, "Oh, this is terrible." And so I started looking into, well, one of my friends that I'd made while I was on the speaking tour, had a master's in sports psychology, and I'd been talking to him, and he was like, there's like research on this stuff, and I started looking into, research from this whole world of like health psychology and health behavior, and um and I thought I was going pretty well with that
Mhm.
until a friend of mine sent me a study that was comparing like standard behavioral treatment versus acceptance-based behavioral treatment. And it was like, and acceptance-based behavioral treatment blew the doors off of standard treatment for people that were stress eating and emotional eating and had like food reactivity, like you see food, you want to eat it. And I was like, "What even is that?" And I
Mhm.
like, couldn't figure it out, and I even bought the manuals from the study, and I was still like, "This makes no sense." And I started to have this, like, vague thing, like, I'm reading all this research, and I, like, I don't really know the statistics, I don't really understand the research method. I was like, "I really wanna get into this, and I really don't have the tools." And so that's what had me go to school for
Mm.
psychology and actually seek out, like, a professor who was a researcher in that acceptance-based style, and do some research um and that's how I actually got that's like in the 9 years it took me to get that degree. That's how I actually got the skills to be able to synthesize the research and
That's some
and
dedication. 9 years to fill a gap, with the and
yeah.
find
Yeah.
the tools that you needed. So that's kudos to you. That's awesome because you
Did you have
understood
any
that.
oh, sorry. Yeah, did you have any intention on going back to school, like, before that moment? Or were
I
you
mean,
in school already?
I'd always
Like,
wanted to,
right,
but I had, like I was busy, I was building one business or another,
right, right.
Um, and,
Hence
yeah,
hence why it took longer. So you made the decision to go and then just kind of
well, yeah,
like you said it took 9 yeah. Did you do
yeah,
your,
and I was working with clients full time the entire
right.
time, and I,
Oh, wow.
and I wrote my second book halfway through, and I mean, and I built two 2 nutrition programs for other companies. Like, there was a
Oh,
lot
wow.
going on in that time.
Wow,
It
yes, you
took a
are a
minute.
seasoned pro.
Yeah.
Definitely. And, Carmi and I were just talking about that before. We're like, yourself, and also we talk about like Jeb, like you guys are both really, we look to you two in the industry for the emotional eating side of things as coaches ourselves, right? Um, so yeah, so this is where psychology comes into play. It's all psychology.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? It's all
yeah,
psychology. So what would you say? So then you were talking about the diet cycle with that client, right? Like
yeah,
she would cut
yeah, yeah,
she
yeah,
would come
yeah.
back, she would get, and it seemed harder. So what is it about the diet cycle? And like, often because we've been through it. Carmi and I have done the yo-yo dieting, we've lost weight, gained weight, all of that. And so what does that look like? And then how do you deal with or talk to your clients about even their feelings of shame, being a failure? Oh, this is not working, or I can't do this. Why can't I do this? Just all of those kinds of things. So yeah, if we could just talk about the diet cycle in general and, your
Yeah.
research. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a that's a big question. There's a lot of
It
stuff
is.
in there. Okay, we'll start with the diet cycle.
Yeah.
Basically, what it comes down to is that, there are a lot of things that are correlated with diet failure that show up in dieting, right?
Right.
Perfectionism, is correlated with diet failure. Black and white food rules is correlated with diet failure. So like the 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 fundamental aspects of dieting are correlated with failure.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so
Right.
I mean, so like that's kind of like a big turning point for people right there, is to realize like, oh, like this isn't a personal failing. Like this is a game that like, it's hard to nail down exact numbers, but like we could estimate somewhere around 85% of people fail at.
Mm,
Right? So it's not like everyone fails, like everyone has that friend that can, like, diet and it's but, like, it's not most people, and
mhm,
so once we realize that, like, "Oh, this is a flawed system," it wasn't you, like, it wasn't me, it wasn't a personal failing, like, it's just, like, most people are gonna fail at this, like, way more than half are gonna fail.
right.
Then we can start looking at, like, okay, what would it take, right? And I like to look at the skills that are required for regulating food intake. And
Mm,
so the first thing I did, well, actually, for a long time, I worked with a registered dietitian who'd looked into a lot of the behaviors that have people regulate food intake just on their own, right?
right.
Things like eating slowly and like checking in about fullness mid-meal, and so I spun off of that and kept looking into that, and also started looking into, like, I think the biggest thing that I built off of that was that, like, okay, there are these like skills like checking in about hunger, and then there are also like guidelines that we can put in, like they're like structural things like playing balanced meals, putting the fork down every bites, and pausing 10 minutes
Right.
before snacking, and there are these things that we can do to, like, add containers to our skill practice, right? And
Right.
so there are these like behaviors and guidelines that we could put in to make it easier to regulate food intake, and then we come back around to the acceptance versus
Mm,
standard behavioral treatment for weight loss. We can look at, like, what are the psychological skills that we need to put in to be able to be with um you know compelling cravings and difficult thoughts and uncomfortable emotions, and like unwanted bodily sensation, like all the things that could drive us to eat that have nothing to do with hunger. And right
mm,
now, I think mostly because what I do there is a little more unique. Most of the clients are coming to me usually already with some understanding that, like, it's not diet, and they even like know they're eating past hunger, and they're like, but how do you stop?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
actually circle back and let's actually rewind it back. So because a lot of people have a tendency to want to attach to labels and things like that.
Yeah.
Because they're like, it has to be this. I can't lose weight because I'm an emotional eater.
Mhm.
I can't lose weight because it's my hormones. I can't lose weight because it's menopause. So, how
Yeah.
would somebody go about, whether it's a coach or a client or a potential client, how would they go about assessing, like, is it really emotional eating? Am I stress eating? Am I boredom eating? Like, how can somebody have the tools to be able to identify what it actually could be? Because I'm not going to say
Yeah.
what it is, but what it could
Yeah.
be.
I like this is like the wrong answer, but like I like as
Yeah.
you're saying that, I'm thinking about like there's a lot of research on emotional eating
Yeah.
using like certain measures to gauge emotional eating. And there's like other research on the measures that's like, well, maybe that measure doesn't really measure emotional eating, right? Maybe it's
Mhm.
measure, like even in the research, they're struggling with how do we really know if it's emotionally, and like
Right.
the whole thing about measuring is so um the cool thing about the way I approach it is that it it actually um kind of doesn't matter.
Right.
Like we're going to look at and figure out how to be with things like emotions and things like cravings and things like and so like it doesn't matter if Bob comes and his like all of his stuff turns out to be emotional eating, and if like Sally comes and all of it turns out to be like cravings because there's just like delicious food at the office that
Mhm.
Mhm.
like it doesn't matter which one because it's the same tools.
Okay.
Right.
The thing broadly speaking, if a client is able to like so if someone's listening, the first thing they might look at is they might look at like do I do I notice when full?
Right.
Like can I notice when full? What can I notice when I'm full and stop? And if they can notice that they're full but they have trouble stopping, then you're like, okay, then it's more than just noticing when full, right? If they're like, I know I'm not hungry and I still eat the snack at work, then then those are like pretty clear things where we're like, but most people aren't even there. Most people,
Right.
it just kind of happens. And so, but like that could be one filter. And then the other thing that I always have to throw out there, because no one ever talks about this and it's super important. It's like one of the most important things is that, anyone out there that's working on hunger and fullness eating, anyone that's working on like trying to eat when hungry and stop when full, keep in mind that there are going to be times in your life, whether it's like different days or different seasons of life, where you can very clearly hear that signal, and there will be
Yeah.
times where you very clearly can't, and that's 100% normal. If I didn't sleep well the night before, I'm gonna have a way
Yeah.
harder time deciphering those signals. That's normal. If I'm super stressed about a deadline or something, I'm gonna, and so like being aware that like that's not always available and that's okay. That's also not a personal failing. That's actually just
Accepting the
part of
process.
being human. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah.
yeah.
That was probably way more than you did that kind of get there?
No, I kind of
Y-
got there. Essentially, what I gathered from that is that it's okay, you guys. Like, you're not broken, and we don't need to tie and cling to these certain things. That it's actually part of the human experience. Because whether or not you
Right.
have that title or that,
Label, whatever
that
you're.
label,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, like, you're still gonna have that human experience. Like, I mean, I can tie that into my own personal experience when I had to let my soul dog go, and it was just a whole slew of emotions. And
Yeah.
like, I knew I wasn't hungry, but I wanted the endorphin hit from something. So I
Yeah.
was leaning towards like things that would give me endorphin hits. And so it's just what it is.
Um, can I use that as an example? Would
Please.
Yeah.
that be too
Yeah.
painful? Okay.
No.
Um,
No, no, no.
so like that's one of those things where we can get really like if we zoom out, we can look at like emotional eating in a really pragmatic way. We could say
Right.
like, hey, you know what? Like the goal isn't to never emotionally eat
Hmm.
because it's actually really effective. Like it kind
Yeah.
of works for a little while,
Hmm.
like, and most of the clients that I'm working with actually, uh if they could just emotionally eat less, they'd hit all their goals and feel like they're eating in line with their values or like that.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so you're talking about an experience that's way beyond our like they want to be able to get through their normal work stress without emotional eating. But like losing, like grief, I
Mhm.
mean, is so much. I mean, like that might be a time where you're like, oh, what, it actually does fit my values to emotionally.
Yeah, to
So
Yeah,
it's
honor
and
it
like
give
in that
yourself
moment. Yeah.
meter the grief, right? I need to
Mhm.
process a little, but maybe not all at once.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, yeah, and something you said there, Josh, about, like, the goal of the goal isn't that like, let's just be clear, eating, emotional eating, it's all emotion, wherever that's coming from, stress, boredom, whatever, right?
yeah,
But it the goal is to, like you said, like I always say this to my clients, it's just to reduce the frequency and duration of such events,
yeah,
where you find yourself
yeah,
eating more, or just like I hate to use the word binging, but like just over consuming, right? For
yeah,
whatever reasons. And, and telling our audience, like, and our clients that it's okay. Like
yeah,
it's gonna
It's that it can be
happen,
normal, and that's all
right?
right.
It's
Yeah.
and,
yeah.
and and it happens to the best of us. It happens to me. Like I still go through that. And Carmi
Oh,
just
yeah, we'll
went
have,
through
like,
that.
text message threads where like, "Yo, it was a day." I might have plowed through, a box of Reese's, or I might have plowed through this, but it is what it is. But again, it's going
Yeah,
back to what you said. It's having those skills. We have those skills and we have those habits where we know, like, okay, we're gonna honor it. We know we did it, and we know we
yeah.
spiraled a little bit, but like we're gonna go ahead and keep on keeping on and get back to our normal habits and skill sets that we have.
Well,
So
and that, like, we're talking
yeah,
about the diet cycle of failure earlier,
yeah,
like, that's the
yeah,
actual off-ramp, right?
yeah,
The
yeah,
issue with dieting is the perfectionism that it's like, "Oh, I blew my diet, now I'm just gonna, like, keep on mowing through stuff."
Yeah.
right.
Where the flip side is, um, maybe I way overate, maybe I emotionally ate, whatever, um, I can actually practice the same skills of willingness to feel
Mm,
right after I've emotionally eaten. I can go like,
exactly.
"Oh, I feel
Yeah.
really guilty. I feel really bad. I feel, like, kinda bloated. I feel like," and like, "Ew, this like, none of this feels kinda icky. Like, I don't like this." But, like, can I spend a minute being willing to feel it, so it creates a space where
Mm,
I can actually look at what, who who do I wanna be about eating,
mm,
right? Like what would actually take
yeah.
care of me right now?
Hmm.
And it's probably not to eat more. But if I was entirely unwilling to feel that guilt or that bloatedness or whatever, then I'd mow through another bag of cookie.
Yeah.
Right, right. So level of awareness, acceptance, but really it's what we teach our clients is it's like to come back from that and to actually sit down, sit in the discomfort and really self-reflect on what happened, what was going on. And, is that kind of what you're alluding to as well? Like, I
It
think that's kind of what you're saying.
it becomes another practice opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
let my clients know, like, that's one of the hardest times to practice.
Mm,
So it's like this is like like it's like from a purely like practice perspective, it's actually a great opportunity to practice. And so it
right.
it it shifts. I mean, one, it gives them some agency in the moment,
Yeah.
right? Like instead of like, oh, I blew it, like I blew the whole day, I blew the whole week, I blew the whole month. It's like, oh, I've got something I can do here. And actually, this practice that I do right now is going to be some of the hardest practice I ever do. And I've had clients
Mhm.
that like from that practice, they built the skill to be with the difficult emotions ahead of time. And so
Right.
it flips the whole thing.
Yeah, like the whole way that we like so just coming from experience, the way that we deal with things, it's going from that kind of restrictive, telling yourself you suck, you failed, that perfectionist all or nothing mentality to really like turning it around. And the difference for me, the key for me was like just being kinder to myself,
Yeah.
to finally being able to sit down and say, "It's okay, like, this is gonna happen," and but it didn't happen right away, Josh. That took time, like you
Oh
said.
yeah.
It was practice, like, it
Yeah.
happened over several years where, yes, at one point, I was able to recognize and be like, "Oh, I had my aha moment. Okay, work within the parameters of your life, do what you can today, it doesn't have to be everything." But then from there, it took a couple of years to get to that
Yeah.
place where you can sit and, you can practice those skills and depending on whatever event you're at, whatever situation. But nothing happens overnight. This
No,
Yeah.
is the
but
thing,
that's
Yeah.
what
right?
we say and we preach to our
Yeah.
audience and to our clients is it's practice, it's sets and it's reps, and it's also letting go of that timeline. Understanding that
Yeah.
this is not
Yeah.
going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 30 days. It's not going to happen in 6 months. It's going to happen over time. And how much time it takes is however long it freaking takes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the diet again, going back to the diet cycle, what are those diet cycles? They are prescribed like time frames,
Yeah.
30
Oh,
days,
yeah.
60 days and lose this month. And so sure, anyone, not anyone, but most people can probably subscribe to that like 30 days. Yeah, I can do this for 30 days. And then
Yeah.
they do everything and buy the book, check off every box, but that's not that it has to be sustainable, but that in itself is not sustainable. It's not real life.
And we don't
And
Yeah.
really
so
get people like that very often. I mean,
Right.
what's that?
you and I can do that, but because we're seasoned at this after X amount of years, but
Practice and reps.
yeah, so but most people like those are the very like type A high performers that are like I can lock in and do something super restrictive and crazy for 30 days, but then it's like
Yeah.
there's going to probably be a crash out because they have no skill set to come out of that later.
So how do you find just like how do you find with your clients, how do you in your coaching practice, how do you work with them to get to a place where they are more accepting of themselves. They, like just what have you seen? Like can you share some sort of example maybe of a client as far as like just their timeline, where they started and maybe how long it took, but I don't know if that question is clear or not. Like I just
Yeah. Um, the timeline's pretty variable. It's, but like, uh,
like how do they
acceptance.
get to that place
Yeah.
mindset wise, emotionally? Like how do they get
Yeah.
to a place where they're like, okay, Josh, like I can accept this now. Like I can sit with my feelings. I can,
When does the
how
light
do you
bulb turn
coach
on? We're
that?
like, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
picking up what you're putting down.
Um,
Yeah, like, because 'cause you're not doing like, because I've heard you talk about tracking and macros and stuff, and you don't necessarily, utilize that with
no,
your clients, right?
no,
Yeah,
no.
so is your coaching? Because I know for me, it is much more people come in and it's like, "Yeah, the diet," but it's not about the diet. It's so much more about building awareness and acceptance and, like, some of the skills and tools that you've talked about, so
Yeah. So, okay. So yeah, I don't have people track calories, macros at all.
yeah,
Um,
okay. Okay, this
uh,
is awesome. Let's talk about this because this is going to be like a, surprising fact to a lot of audience members because I think most Gen Pop feel that they have to track.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and most of the people that have tried not tracking have like it's like blown up into like complete chaos.
right.
And I think that makes sense. I don't take like a lot of my clients come in tracking calories and tracking macros. And I
Mhm,
don't like take that away from them and leave them with nothing. We still track. We just track the
mhm,
things that that I care about, right? That are going to
right,
make a difference. So
right.
we track the skill practice and we
Right.
track we track the skills and the guidelines and we may track well I'll get into that in a minute. But
Mhm,
but we like what I was going to say is we may track values-based choice making. And
right.
so we will track guidelines like putting the fork down would be bites, like really clear, like you can check like I did that this meal or I didn't, right? Or like I
Okay.
plated a balanced meal, did or didn't. I ate without screens, did or did, right? Like really clear stuff that makes a difference. Then we'll have like little tougher skills like someone full and stopping or like well yeah another guideline that I really like is like pause 10 minutes before
Yeah.
snacking, like another
Is that the
really
urge surfing? Is that
recommended.
you refer to that as the urge surfing or what is it that
No, so
you
okay,
no?
so
That's two different things?
that's a different thing.
Okay.
But
Okay. Okay.
they're related. So it's one of those things
Yes.
where, like, I've got guidelines which are really clear, like, really clear, and then I've got skills that are a little bit more messy. And so urge surfing would be a skill where pausing 10 minutes before snacking would be the guideline. A person could
Okay.
actually set a 10-minute timer before snacking and not do any urge surfing at all. They could just distract themselves.
Mm.
right?
Right,
Meanwhile, another
right.
person could set a 10-minute timer and do some word surfing, or do like kind of like a next level thing. They could actually do, they could notice and name the different parts of their experience, or they could be willing to feel what's going on inside. And then like the highest level is they could not only be willing to feel it, but also use that little space of willingness to check with their values and which choice moves towards their values, which choice moves away, right? So
Can you
all that
Mhm.
touch
could
on
happen
oh,
inside of that 10-minute container.
Okay.
And we're going to track all of those things. There's going to be a line item for each of those. They're each going to be separate. Because like you could do willingness to feel without setting a 10-minute timer.
Yeah.
I don't set a 10-minute timer anymore. I've been doing this for a lot of years. I don't you know, actually
Mm.
that's not true. When I wait too long, when I go too long between meals, I'll set a 20-minute timer because
Oh,
for me that's like my hardest, like if I have a super long gap between meals, I go into that meal like super starving and I eat it and I'm like, oh, I want more. So I'll set a timer for that. But like for snacking, I don't have to set a timer anymore, but I still
right.
have some willingness to feel. I still have to like sit with that, you know? So like it's a dynamic practice and all these parts work together, but they're actually separate. And I think it's worth tracking each one of them separately, both so that we can learn what parts you need in different situations, but also we can see if you're doing it all. Because a
Mhm.
lot of times, well, I'm going way off track, but
Oh, it's
the
all good.
where the rubber really meets the road is willingness to feel. Willingness to feel
Mm.
is the skill that makes the difference. When people get that, they get everything else. If people are trying to make values-based choices without willingness to feel, they don't care about their values. I'm sure everyone in the audience has been like, I had my why and it just wasn't enough to make that, you know, or like I had this goal, you know, like it's never enough if you don't have willingness to feel. Willingness to feel comes first. And
Yeah.
so we track that. And when
Wow.
people are doing willingness to feel practice, like 5 times a week, things click. Things click, right?
there becomes more
Yeah.
self-awareness around their actions and choices.
And they also like start to like they're in the game. They're like I talk about willingness to feel a lot like strength training, right?
Right.
That like,
Okay. Yeah.
oh, they're like lifting with, you know, 5 pounds of stress. And then like this other day is like 20 pounds of stress. And like, oh, this day was 50 pounds of stress. And that's more than I strength than I've got right now and willingness to feel, right? But like they're
Right.
like in the game of being with this. And I realize the way I'm saying it makes it sound like it's all just tolerating. And it's not. It's tolerate
Mm-mm.
it there's some of that, but there's also some distancing, some ability to notice it and take a step back and be the observer.
Mm.
And this is like when people get two things, when they get where they can take a step back and be the observer, and when they accept they actually are legitimately willing to feel it. They accept that like sometimes we're sad and sometimes we're stressed and sometimes we're tired and sometimes, you know, like when they get both of those things, and all of a sudden, I hesitate to say that it gets easier, but it actually does get a lot easier to
It
be with
does.
that stuff. Like
I
Yeah.
the
think
stuff
it's okay
doesn't
to
Yeah.
go
say it
away.
gets easier because I mean, knowing how much inner work I've done on myself and understanding my triggers,
Yeah.
it does get easier to deal with this. I mean, Dal and I have many conversations where we do check-ins with each other, and you know, she knows what my triggers are, and she knows when she kind of starting to notice my patterns, and vice versa. And so, like, we'll dive into it, and then she'll like, "Well, how are you dealing with that?" I'm like, "I'm less triggered. I acknowledge it. I honor it. I know it's there, and I feel it, but it's less like."
It's
Yeah.
Debilitating or just
Yeah.
it just affects me less and less. So I think it's okay
Yeah.
that
I
you say that.
I
Yeah.
like to say it becomes more manageable.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
That that's
Yeah.
what I like to
Yeah.
say. Because yes, like when we do use I hesitate sometimes vocabulary, so I
Yeah.
can see why you hesitated there. It can come across a different way, right? Easier meaning
Yeah.
like that's not to negate for anyone else that it's not hard. It is
Yeah.
still hard. It's still hard for you, for me. Um, but it's not as hard anymore. It's
Yeah.
just we can I find that if I tell myself that I can just manage these things better, like that I'm still telling myself and acknowledging that it's still difficult. Like this is
Yeah.
not something that is easy per se, right? So Because life is gonna life, like you said. Seasons of life, things are gonna come up. But what I can say from experience now is having put in the practice and reps, like you said, I can manage those scenarios so much better than I could have previously. And you do it long enough, like you said, you don't need the timers.
Yeah.
These things start to fall off, right? So in that sense, yes, it does become easier. So yeah, it's emotions are tough. There we deal with so much of it, and I can say for myself again, Carmi, you and I talk about this that we've been doing it for so long, but yeah, the emotions always creep up, and we find ourselves in the pantry and all of that. So yeah, um,
Can I ask you two a
yeah,
question?
Yeah.
yeah.
It sounds like you have this like really great like teamwork, like this really great like buddy system. You call each other and
Oh, yeah.
We do,
um
We've become
yeah.
like
Go ahead.
sisters from another mister.
that's
So
yeah, what
support, right?
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish your. Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
I was gonna
Uh,
say, like, is that something that like showed up naturally, or did you develop that on purpose, or like, and is that something that you teach your clients? Like, is that
yeah,
something that you could? Yeah,
yeah. We could
So,
talk about that.
well,
Yeah,
it's something that has developed organically and naturally over time. It was never forced. We were introduced to each other through a mutual colleague. We met in person, um, enjoyed each other, but the deepness of the relationship took about a year or so to develop, and it's evolving even deeper, to now, like, she's one of my soul people, like,
likewise.
like, if even though she's in Canada, I'm in the States, like, if there's, like, a full alarm sending, like, I know, like, if I call her, she's picking up the phone, and if she doesn't, she's calling immediately right back, and she is the keeper of my secrets and my safe space, and I would like to hope to say vice versa,
It
but
is
again,
vice
it's just
versa,
something that has just naturally evolved, um
but
and
within
we
this
talk about it
space,
yeah, we talk
yeah,
about it though because, like, we say how blessed we are to have this relationship in our 40s, um, but it was something we've said it in previous episodes where, like, I feel like this would not have evolved the way it did had we not done the personal work on ourselves, inner and
uh
outer, to get to where we are today and who we are today.
yeah,
yeah. So it goes back to like we were able to meet in person at RCS. Aram Gregorian.
yeah,
He puts on that conference, and
yeah.
so we've been meeting every year for the last 3 years now.
Mhm.
At that, and then through this podcast, like we learned a lot. But yes, I mean, I would love to touch on this if I know if it's something that you could talk about too. Accountability and support. I will die
Mhm.
on this
A
hill. This
community.
is, yes, and a
Yeah.
community. This is something that was lacking for myself prior to. I spent 2 decades yo-yo dieting, and spent it alone. Like I didn't reach out, I didn't tell anyone. Then I would
Yeah.
just do these extreme methods like dieting, like you name it, I've done it. And it wasn't until I, sought support. So I started with Andrew, I started personal training with him,
Yeah.
and through that relationship got into nutrition and immersed myself in nutrition, and then ended up becoming a coach. Um, but and through that, uh, just cultivating these relationships, i.e., with Carmi, but also Jeb. Jeb,
Yes.
he's one of my mentors
Oh, right on.
now as
Awesome.
well. So, but without the support and the accountability, like I know I would have regressed. To what level, I don't know, but I know that that would have happened because
Yeah.
that was my pattern before.
Yeah.
And so having those relationships and support, a coach, is what enabled me to kind of get over that hump, get to the other side and say, okay, keep going now. Like you can do this, keep going. So what are your, yeah, what are your thoughts on that? And, when it comes to your clients?
I mean, um, I think you covered it. It like
Yeah,
the reality is everyone does better with social support, just like
Mhm.
right.
across the board. Um, it's and then like everyone does better with coaching. It's like I was just one of the classes I took was educational psychology, and one of the things that was really interesting was the two sigmas problem that people that have one-on-one tutoring do two standard deviations better than than
Mm,
people that don't. And so like I was thinking about I mean like that's a huge that's going from like way below average to average. That's going from average to exceptional. And I was saying
mhm,
like, oh man, like having a coach is so it makes such a big difference, you know?
mhm,
And then the um I think the ultimate supercharger for any kind of behavior change is to just like join a group of people where people are already doing the thing you want to do.
mhm.
Like, because we're social animals. We like
Yeah.
pick up, I mean, like, so I mean, just two really, really big like multipliers.
Right,
It's gonna make either one of those is gonna make everything a lot more doable for most people. And then
right.
if you could add both, that's amazing. So, but
Now,
like that's like everything.
what
It
advice
is.
do you give to some of your clients? Because I know with myself, well, not necessarily myself, but with my clients, there are times where in their household they have nobody who supports
Yeah,
them and gives them that emotional support and whatever kind of support they need. Well, they have you, so that's one step. How do you go about giving them, the skills or the advice to find said community? Because I think it's a community. Because Dal and I, we vibe, we're soul sisters, but we also are not afraid to stand up to one another in the sense where it's like, "Well, hold on, like, hear me out. I'm gonna
challenge.
push a little bit. I think you might be a little bit wrong in that situation, but like, we're not just gonna rah-rah for each other. We're also gonna,
Yeah.
be the other eyes, set of eyes for each other." So how do you go about giving clients advice in that situation?
Um. So what the two of you are talking about is extraordinary.
Mm,
Like what you have with each other, you've both done a lot of work on yourselves. You're both coaches. You're both able to like show up for each other as friends and as like skilled practitioners.
mm,
And you're able to like push back and challenge each other in a way that's effective. And some of my clients have friends like that. A lot
mhm.
don't, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
And um, I don't have any like magic for how to find that. I mean, like we talk about how to maybe talk about what they're up to with other people in their lives, like what they're doing eating wise. Especially as like to like shut down diet conversation and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I actually oh, so the clear answer to your question is that they while they're working with me, they get that from me. And we
exactly.
don't just cut off, we taper off over time so that they become more and more self-reliant. As they become more and more in tune with their personal values about eating, they develop a really strong sense of self.
Mm,
And as it relates to eating, and sometimes that exists with other people they can share it with, but a lot of times that exists as like a contrast
mm,
to a lot of the people around them.
yeah,
Mhm.
And a lot of times, this is gonna sound weird, but like they can see how maybe friends are like suffering with
Yes.
dieting, and they feel really bad and wish they could help them, and they also like don't want to go there again, so in a
yeah,
way some of the people in their lives actually act as like a um an example of what they don't want to do anymore, which is kind of
yeah.
sad. um
It yeah.
Oh, and
It's
and then
it's
and then so I was gonna ask, do either of you have do you have ways of teaching that with your clients? Do you have
y yeah, like, I was gonna what you were talking about there, like, I find that, as you go through the process and immerse yourself into this lifestyle and you learn and all of that, unlearn, learn, um, you tend to start seeing that sometimes the people that you do hang out with no longer align with your lifestyle or your values or the way that you're seeing things. And that's hard. That's
that is
hard
hard.
for some, right? For people to accept that and even say, "Oh, wow, like I'm gonna have to say no." And so much of this work it does, like it comes with helping clients work through just like setting boundaries, when it comes
Yeah.
to food and when it comes to dining out, not only just learning about how to dine out, but also setting those boundaries to say no. And it's really just talking to them for me. It's like taking that time as a coach to coach, because that's what coaching is to understand, right? Like not just a check in form and like check this off. I know I'm gonna not the conventional way of doing things or how it's done. And so I find that just having real conversations and having that relationship and trust built in with the client helps a lot. And they're able to open up and talk about these things. And going back to what you said, I think sometimes we are the sole like connection
Yeah.
point
Mhm.
and relatable. We can relate to them. And sometimes that's all they're going to have is the coach. And yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking, like, something that a lot of my clients have, like, have done when they were kinda, like, lamenting that they didn't have a lot of people in their life to talk about this with
Uh-huh.
is, they would listen to podcasts,
Ah,
right?
yes,
And
Mhm.
so
yes,
they would listen to all the podcast episodes I've done, right? And
right.
I imagine your clients, like, listen to your podcast
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
um, and so it was a way for them to, have the conversation, like, be in their world,
right.
right? Just for them to just
Yeah,
keep hearing it in different ways and, um, you know, like, my clients might listen to this and hear how you talk about it. Your clients might
mm,
listen to how I and so they're exposed to community in, like, this, like, little, like, slightly distant way, but it's still there.
Gives them some
mhm.
kind of sense of belonging still.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh,
Oh,
somebody's
wow.
sneezing somewhere. Oh, that's
This is
okay.
this
It'll
is this is why we don't record normally in the middle of the day. My family just can't help themselves. They know I'm recording, and yet they're still finding their ways, like, to be loud and noisy. I'm like, "Oh my
it
gosh, you
was
guys."
such a nice emotional moment.
I think
I
it's
know.
awesome. I think it's like
I'll let my
like
husband
Yeah.
real
know.
real life.
Real life. I know. No, but you're right. Like I didn't think of that. Like, yeah, definitely. That's why we, Carmi and I, it's like we're moms. We've lost a ton of weight, respectively. Like, I've lost 130 pounds. You've lost like 30, 40 pounds. We have also in maintenance gone up and down. And,
Mhm.
Yeah.
we have similar experiences. And just because we've been doing this for so long doesn't mean that like we still don't struggle ourselves. And so I love sharing that with, our audience, and
Yeah.
love that like we can provide this perspective as well. Um I just kind of want to touch on one thing if you don't mind,
Wait, can
as
I
well.
spin off that
Yeah.
just real
Yeah. Yeah,
just
yeah,
really
yeah,
quick?
for sure. Yeah.
Um, Having practice that's that dynamic where you've been able to have some, like, weight variation over time and it hasn't thrown you off
Yes.
is a really big. I mean, that's another, like, big turning point, right?
Yeah.
Right,
And
right.
the way I have my clients work with that is they're always trying to ask themselves, like, um, what fits the kind of person I wanna be about eating right now, or, like, what choices about eating fit my values right now. And that can change in more stressful situations, more difficult situations, or, like, seasons of life where
Mhm.
like the priority actually isn't nutrition and fitness,
Yes.
Mhm.
right? That's actually
Yeah.
more
Yes.
like that's
Thank you
normal,
for
right?
saying that. Thank you for saying that, because just because we're in this space and this is, audience sees a snippet of our lives on social media or whatever. No, no, no. I say this all the time. Like seasons of life, we are not all about nutrition and training, and fitness is a small part of
Mhm.
my
Yeah.
life. It's not all of it, right? And it varies. Even that varies season to
Yeah, we
season.
talk
So
about that. Like, sometimes we're ramped up,
thank
sometimes we're
you.
turned down. It just depends on what
Yeah.
life is throwing our way in that very moment. Like, I mean, it just sometimes I'm just not going to be able to focus on all of my workouts and all of my nutrition. And I'm just going to have to just wing it and do the best I can and show up as best as I can in that moment. And that's going to have to be okay.
Yeah. And that's what I would call like the values-based choice in that
Mhm.
season of life.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like it isn't like there's some standard, like it like the choice that fits the kind of person that you wanna be about eating actually looks different at different times.
Yep.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and the fact that you could stay in it even when it wasn't prioritized it's really like that's kinda like black belt level, right? Like that's where everyone should be
Mm.
like aspiring to get to. And if people have that in their head ahead of time, that like the goal isn't to be perfect in every season of life, but to have like different standards, but have
Right.
have like different perspectives on what those choices would look like in different times of life. And that's
It
yeah,
it it
amazing.
makes you wonder why though, like, obviously, you can't answer the question, it's probably a rhetorical question, but, like, wonder why is it that when it comes to weight loss or your health, that we have such a restrictive mindset around it, that
Because everybody
everything
wants
has
the
to
end
be
goal. They want
perfect,
the end
right?
goal and they want it tomorrow. That's in
And
my opinion, if you were to ask me, it's because like we have adopted that mindset where we know like this is a lifestyle. Like with the lifestyle, things will go up and down. It'll never be just like even keeled. And our bodies, again, going back to what we were talking about, will change accordingly based off of the season we're in, the phase we're in, and whatever our focus
mhm.
is. But most people are just focused because of whatever it is on social media or whatever they're seeing on TV or on the movies, that's what's supposed to be the end goal, and that's it. That's the prize. I think that's what the problem is, in my opinion.
And it doesn't help when you have those in the industry still saying, like, 30 days, like, we can,
Yeah.
I wanna ask you something, like, when it
Yeah.
comes to I don't know, Carmi, do you wanna, phrase this question because we were talking about
Oh
it?
yeah,
Like
so there's some people out there who are emotional eating experts who claim that you can heal or solve emotional eating in 30 days, X days. What would you say to that? What are your thoughts and opinions to that?
just in
um
general, like,
I'm getting a
yeah.
little messy.
Uh, I mean, you can. It doesn't mean that you will. You know what I mean? Uh, like people come in with a wide variety of backgrounds. You
Yeah.
know, like I've had clients who were psychologists or meditation teachers who
Mhm,
came in with emotional eating issues, and we sorted out their emotional eating in 30 days because they had
mhm,
this like they had decades of skill development that they
Mhm.
just like they were just missing a couple pieces,
They're
right?
already
ah,
practiced coming
okay,
into it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
yes,
But like
caveat.
that's not
Again,
most
that's not
people,
the most
right?
people.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's like
That's
so
like your
most
1 in a million client.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're like, "Give
Um
me all of them."
yeah. No, I know actually I mean like it's fun to work with them because it's but it's also kind of boring. Like they almost like get it
Right.
too fast.
Yes, yes, yes,
You're like, "That
yes,
was not
we talk
challenging
about
at
this.
all."
I was like, wait, but I had all this other stuff to say, but you already know it. In fact, you've already done it just in this other
You're like,
area.
"I feel useless. Why did you
Yeah.
hire me?" I'm trying to
um,
solve world problems, and you're not
yeah.
helping me solve world problems.
um, but for most people that could take 3 months or 6 months or I mean like with one-on-one, if I'm walking people through the skills in session, then like could totally be 3 or 6 months, right? might
Right,
might still
right.
be 9 months or a year. In a group program where I'm not walking them through, where they're doing it mostly on their own, but they've got some social support, might be a year or two.
Yeah, but you're not curing
I was
them
gonna say,
of
is it a safe claim to say that you're curing it though, or
Oh,
that you're just bringing
no, no,
self-awareness
no, no, no,
around
no, no,
it?
sorry, sorry.
Because the claim is that we can cure it in
No, no, no,
X
no, no,
amount of
no, no.
time.
That was so absurd. I just disregarded it completely.
You're like, "No." So you're like, "I ignored
No,
it
no,
for
no,
a
no, no, no,
reason,
no, no, no,
Carmi."
no, no, no.
Got it.
No. I'm talking about like potential
Yes,
timelines with variation that someone
yes,
could
You
learn
mean you're
how to
talking
be with the
realistic
difficult
terms
emotions
is
that
what you're
come up
saying.
and be with the cravings
yes,
that come up and
yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah.
no, 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 no. I'm not like if there's a way to cure people, I don't know it. The
Yeah.
research that I have is the research that I work off of is based on a certain amount of accepting that it's always going to
Yes,
be there and that it's like
yes.
human. I mean, it's like my addiction studies professor used to say that like the only way to be up all the time is to be on drugs. You
Ah,
know, he's like, humans go up and down. We're supposed to. You're not
there you
supposed to
go.
stay up, you know.
That's
You're
a
not supposed
great
to stay at like
analogy, actually.
maximum
Yeah,
happiness all, you know. So there's a certain amount of accepting that like delicious food is delicious and it's normal to crave
ah,
it, and that like
it
we're
is.
sad sometimes, we're crushed sometimes, bad things happen. It would be weird to be like super joyful when something horrible happens. That would be weird.
Awkward.
That would be
Right?
so
Awkward.
weird.
I know
You're
that.
like,
Well, that this just goes back to why do we demand perfection
Yeah.
again, right? Why are we demanding perfection when it comes to this part of our lives? Like, no,
because the
it's
Yeah.
messy middle doesn't sell, Dal. You know
Yeah.
that. Give me results, make it perfect, and
Right.
all the good stuff. Come on,
And
sprinkle all the good
cure.
things on there. And cure
yeah, and
me.
cure
Fix me, damn it.
and give me the before and after, and then we'll.
Well, okay. The thing that I think is so wonderful is that like if we're approaching it from like accepting that like it's normal to have cravings, it's normal to be sad sometimes, and it's normal to be,
Yeah.
you know, then like we don't need to be fixed.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
We're not broken. We
yeah,
don't need to be
Right.
fixed.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
I think
We
also
just,
another thing to touch on that is that it's also normal to just have a case of the fuck it sometimes, because I
Yes.
have that sometimes, and that's a
Yes.
normal human experience,
Yes.
and
That
that's
is
totally
totally normal
fine.
to experience.
Because I am not quiet about that. Like I'll tell my on my stories, I'm like, here we are. I had a case of the fuck it's. I'm
Yeah.
honoring it,
yeah,
and it was a good
yeah,
time.
yeah.
It was worth every calorie.
But what
Yeah.
a wonderful place to be and to be able to get to where you
Yeah.
can sit here and say, I had the case of the fuckets and I was like, oh, whatever, moving on. But
Again, though,
that
that's a skill
also,
set that we
yeah,
have evolved into. So
Yeah.
it's all full circle with what Josh started off with. That it's not cured. You don't need to be fixed. You're not broken. It's just something that you need to bring awareness and acceptance around.
Yeah. And
practice
that
and
that
rap.
acceptance around that case of fuck it's is
Yeah,
actually what allows you to transition in and transition out,
Yeah,
and not
yeah.
have that
So,
be like a start another diet cycle of failure.
yeah,
yeah, because you talk about that acceptance. You mentioned that before too. Um, yeah, so much of it is just acceptance, but with grace, right? With kindness,
Allowing ourselves to
with
be human.
yeah,
I love that. I
exactly,
mean,
exactly.
shit, end it there. That was perfect.
Mic drop!
No, seriously. Like, I mean, don't add anything else. That was absolute perfection.
Good timing, Josh. Be quiet.
I'm going out on top.
We're clipping
I
that
know.
right there. Boom.
I know. I was gonna ask you a follow up, but we don't need to now.
I'm kidding. Ask your follow
I
up.
know.
I'm kidding. We're still going to clip
No,
that,
it
though.
was just
We
like
can
my.
recut it so that it still ends there.
I know, right?
There you go.
I'll do that. I'll just bring it.
You'll just highlight it and move it over.
Yeah.
No, just I guess in closing, my final questions was like, what would you want someone who has been dieting for, 10 years, 20
Yeah.
years, 5 years, whatever the case is, to take away from your work and, you as a coach and how you approach things and just, yeah, like, cause I'm digging everything that you put out there and, the things that we learn as well as coaches, we're learning from you. So, yeah.
Thank you.
So, what would you want someone to take away from your work?
So the first thing is just the like really basic that like failure in dieting is like part of dieting, right? Like that's like built in. So the very first thing is
Yeah.
just realizing like that wasn't a personal failing, right? Then when you're moving away from dieting, people tend to go too far, right?
Mm.
And a lot of the non-diet coaches make the same mistake where they're like, we're not dieting, we're not going to track anything. You're
Mm.
going to just like eat whatever you want and your body will figure it out on its own. Like, I mean, maybe
I'm
like,
like, my body will figure out how to eat a whole box of Rice Krispies.
yeah, yeah. Um, the like you don't have to go from tracking everything to tracking nothing. That like
Right.
if the thing you want to work on is eating slower, you can track that. If you want to work,
Yeah.
like you could, if it helps you to eat balanced meals, you can track eating balanced meals without writing down every morsel, and that could be pretty loose. Like I've had clients that are just like, I added vegetables, that's more balanced than before, like,
I love that.
but you can still track stuff. And
Yeah.
because if you're used to that keeping you in your practice, like keeping you intentional, then track it, right? And then at
Hmm.
some point, you want to have some kind of tracking of willingness to feel your internal sensations, and whether that's like cognitive diffusion, which is what I teach, or whether that's like mindful self-compassion, or like urge surfing, which is kind of like related to what I
Yeah.
do, or like regardless of what psychological tool you're using, you should track how often you practice that, and you should reflect on how it goes, right? And you should start to
Hmm.
notice like how that's showing up, like, am I actually willing to feel this, or am I like still trying to fight it? Am I actually applying self-compassion, or am I trying to fix it? Like do that kind of reflection. Like am I actually doing the thing that I'm trying to do? Like so two levels. That one is tracking, and the second one is reflecting. Like am I actually
Right.
doing what's at the core of this, which is usually harder and more difficult and a little bit messier. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay, wait.
Yes.
So to pull all that together, it would be like diet cycle failure is a thing. You don't have to participate anymore. When you're not doing that, you can track the skills that you're practicing. Like you still track what you're actually up to. And then if some of that is willingness to feel, you need to both be tracking that and reflecting on how it's actually showing up.
So
Right.
collect
Love
the
that.
data that suits you in that moment.
Yes.
Like what we always say, Dal, right? Pick the things
Yeah.
that you can manage in that moment.
Yeah. That are,
Yeah.
actually realistically doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not what the
The
22 fit fluencers doing.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, the best choice that's actually available, not the, like, fantasy.
I mean,
I
we
know, yeah.
reiterate that very often with our clients and also on this podcast that like if you don't have to keep up with what Dal and I are doing. If all you can manage is just getting 8 hours of sleep, go do that.
Awesome.
Go off, girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Go sleep.
If that's all you can do right
Go
now,
sleep.
cool. Night
Awesome.
night.
Yes.
I just,
Uh,
I mean that's huge though. That's
you're the
huge, and also
best.
that
Like,
that
you're doing
takes
great.
people a lot of time to get to because they're like, I got to keep up. I'm behind. No, you're not. According to
Yeah.
No.
whom?
Yeah.
Just do what you got
Exactly.
to do based
Exactly.
off of you and your blueprint.
Yeah. Yeah. Work within the parameters of your life, people. Like, seriously, there's a reason why we say this. And that it is how like all of us, have gotten to where we've gotten to, maybe,
Yeah.
like, and just speaking as far as nutrition or,
Yeah.
health goals and things like that. It was
Well,
the very thing. Yeah.
do you ever think that maybe it's not just nutrition? Do you ever think that, like, so sometimes I wonder about, I'm like the kind of, like, flexibility and thinking
Yes.
that we apply to, like, other things we're good at, we're just not apply like, that, like, maybe nutrition's, like, the only place where I mean, maybe not for everyone, but I mean, like, I
Hmm.
think I think I think a lot of people have maybe, like, careers or hobbies where they can see, like, "Oh, yeah, here are the things that work a lot of the time, but in these situations, they don't." Like, they
Hmm.
have that, like, wider perspective, and that, like, nutrition's the place where they
Yeah, yeah. So no,
I don't
it's
know.
weird because I was talking to my client about this as well. She's a pharmacist. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's a certain way that you work, and you have to be a certain way. Everything has to be on point. You can't be given dog medication to, someone with blood pressure or high blood pressure.
You can't give
So
presents to to somebody.
I'm like,
You mean that matters?
it matters. And there
Mm.
is that you have to be perfect with how you're dispensing the medication, all of these things, and you can't always take those skills and transfer them the exact same way
Right,
to
yeah.
nutrition
Yeah,
when it
that's
comes
true,
to
yeah,
this. And because there's just so many other variables at play, and it
yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to work for you, and sometimes just recognizing that and understanding that, like, just shifts everything, right?
Right.
Um, yeah,
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 that's
but
smart. Different domains,
yeah, yeah,
different
yeah, yeah.
contexts.
So exactly, exactly. And we sometimes feel, I think, that the way we do things a certain way, they have to be the exact same way when it comes to your health and wellness, and that's not always the case. So, um, bitch, but you gotta sleep, you go sleep.
Oh my God. You gotta eat your fiber so you poop, eat your fiber so you poop. Please.
Exactly,
Because
because
then
at
you'll
the end
end
we
up
talk
on my
about poop.
x-ray table,
Eat your fiber so you
straight
poop.
toxica.
She's an X-ray tech. Oh,
I'm
sorry,
also an
that's probably
x-ray
the wrong.
tech, so I'm a full-time x-ray tech,
Yeah.
so I see a lot of
Poop.
toxicas in real life who haven't pooped in a week, and I'm like, you know, some fiber would help. Kiwis, blueberries, you know. I mean, I'm just saying.
Let's just track fruit. Let's just track fruit.
Yeah. I'm like, so if you were my client, where we'd first start is tracking fruit, fruit and fiber.
Oh, God.
That's awesome.
All right. Okay, so I think we'll end it there.
Yeah,
That's where we stop. That's
right?
know
the
Straight up
that's
mic drop with the poop. I love poop.
oh yeah, she thinks about me when she
I,
goes, by
I
the
do.
way.
I think. I know it's absolutely wild. They're like, what?
We're
Me
not
too.
very professional, John.
Yeah.
it's awesome. This
No,
is
like when I have the best, most emptyingest out poop, I'm like, Dal would love this poop right now. Like I had the best one.
so
I'm like, I
do
need.
you call her and tell her like that one was
Sometimes I
like
text her. I'm like, oh, I had one. Like you would be so jelly belly about.
Oh my God.
I'm like, I got on the scale minus
You
1
would
pound.
be
Like
so
that's how
jealous.
jelly belly you would be.
It's like what-
I know. That's when you hop on the scale for data.
Yeah. We've already established this in a previous episode. Naked after a poop, no water yet. After I've had thoughts about you. Josh is like, wow, I feel like I
I'm
need to
sweating,
exit the room.
Yeah.
I know.
Starting to sweat.
Amazing.
You love it. All right, Josh. So if our reader or if our listeners and our audience would like to find your book, where can they find your book? Can they find you? I will link everything in the show notes later on.
So my book, Lean and Strong, Eating Skills, Psychology and Workouts, is available at Amazon. And they can find me on Instagram at Joshua Hillis. At Joshua Hillis. I started a
Substack.
Substack. Huh?
Yes, I was going to say Substack.
Yeah.
That's what I said,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
What's
so
your
I'll link all
Substack?
that for everybody.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much. This was fun. This was actually
Yeah.
really fun.
Be honest, was this your funnest podcast episode?
This is the funnest. I was like, we should hang out more often. Like this is great.
I mean,
You're
we're already locked in for Vegas next April. You may want to come.
Maybe I should.
Yeah.
Maybe I should.
You should.
We are a
Yeah.
good time. I don't party as hard as Dal does, but I still am a good time. She's just a better time.
Seasons of life. Oh, hey, what were you talking about? You know, different value-based.
Yeah.
I'm the girl where I'm like, I need sleep. Good night. 10 o'clock. Bye.
Yeah. This is where this bitch ain't sleeping.
She doesn't. So I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I'm 40, about to be 42. You're 45. You have more stamina than me. I cannot. I'm done. I'm calling it.
Yeah. I haven't been to a fitness conference since I started going to school. So it's been like I was just busy, right? I was like doing,
Yeah. It's understandable.
So maybe I'm due.
Oh, you should come to RCS.
Honestly,
oh my gosh.
it's unlike
gonna be
any other
epic.
event because a lot of like we go for the education when we said this before, but like we go for also the connections and the meetups and the people.
No, like hanging out with the people's is the thing, right? And then there's some content.
And then the education, whatever.
You can rewatch most of it later. It's not a big deal.
Well, I mean, yeah. I was saying, like, I feel like at the conferences I've been to, like, I always learn more in the hallway.
Yes.
But
we've talked about that.
100%.
Yes, we did a whole episode, like just really like for RCS, our recap, and absolutely. You learn about people. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane. It's top notch. It's unlike anything other than I've ever
And we're not even
experienced.
talking about like nutrition or anything like that. It's about everything else. And it's all relatable, obviously, and it all comes
Yeah.
together, but it's just, yeah, it's so much fun. So we're gonna put that out there and maybe Josh Hillis will be coming to RCS. So let's put it out there.
Yeah, look at that. Let me look into
Hey, we'll take it. We'll
Um
take the we'll look into it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's not a no.
that.
All right. Well, with that, thank you, thank you. We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
you
me.
coming
This
on.
is
It
great.
was honestly a freaking blast.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
Like,
cool.
laugh so hard that I'm sweating. And-
you're welcome.
so I know. Oh, okay. If you, for our audience members, if you love this episode, please share it with whoever, whomever might benefit, you think might benefit, and share, like, love, subscribe, all of that. And until next time, we'll see
Bye
you then.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.